Wow, I think I was even on the stream for a second. Let's rewind and try that again. What's up, guys? I'm Jordan Miller. I'm the owner and founder of Breathe Heavy. Welcome to this new live stream. As you can see, there's a little bit of hiccups. I'm still learning my way, but all is well. As I mentioned, Jamie Lynn did an interview on Good Morning America. I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are on this interview. It got a ton of engagement on Breathe Heavy. If you don't know what Breathe Heavy is, which I'd be a little surprised if you're on this channel and you don't know what Breathe Heavy is, it's a pop music news / Britney Spears community. It was founded in 2004, has over 85,000 members. It's a full-fledged community, so if you haven't already, please register, join. It's completely free, it takes less than 10 seconds, and it'd be greatly appreciated. You're gonna love it. So as I mentioned, Jamie Lynn's interview, that's one of the first things we're gonna talk about first. She had a lot to say and had a lot to not say, ironically. So we're going to unpack that in a little bit. Please drop me a comment. I'm going to post comments on the screen throughout this live stream. I'd love to converse with you and just go back and forth. After that, we're going to talk about just a little post that I found to be interesting, where Felicia Colada, Britney's former assistant who appeared on New York Times documentary Framing Britney Spears and Controlling Britney Spears, as well as the Netflix documentary that I was actually in, Britney versus Spears. She liked a post about Jamie Lynn being a liar, so we're going to unpack that in a little bit as well. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, also today, it appears that Britney is going to be doing an interview on Oprah, and it's unclear exactly when that's going to go down, if that's the case, but I'm going to unpack how that rumor came to be, why there's actually some credibility to it, and more. Next up on the Britney doc, because today's a Britney-only episode, special for you. This actually is not something we're smiling about. A court hearing that was supposed to take place on January 19th has been taken off the calendar. It's unclear actually whether this is good or bad. That remains to be seen. I'll do a little digging after this live stream, but that news just came out. So we're going to look at these courts in a little bit and see what's up. And last but not least, this is also obviously a really sad thing. There's this weird bruise on Britney's arm that I was a little unsure if I wanted to even talk about this on this live stream, but it got a lot of traction on Breathe Heavy, and I do think it's worth putting out there to see what your thoughts are and kind of hopefully mitigate some of the rumors going around about it, and just kind of talk this out. So with that said, before we go and unpack each of these news items, as usual, let's play that intro. So first things first, what I'm going to do is, like the other live streams, hopefully you like this, I'm going to bring up Exhale. Exhale is the forum component of Breathe Heavy. And we're going to look at these individual items because these threads were first created on Breathe Heavy / Exhale, where people were replying left and right. It's a 24/7 community. And with this Jamie Lynn interview, there was literally, I think, like 600 something replies in the last 24 hours. So as you can imagine, there's been a lot of, conversation about this. And interestingly, ever since Britney's Instagram has shut off comments, I think that Exhale has had more engagement as a result of that, because there's nowhere, literally, there's not really many places to go if you want to talk about Britney. There's only a handful of places to go, and I think Breathe Heavy might be one of the largest ones. So we've been getting a lot of traction. So what I'm going to do is pull up the screen right here, and we're going to take a look at some of these clips from Jamie Lynn's new interview on Good Morning America that aired this morning. So what you're looking at right here is the thread on Exhale, and here, this block of text is just some captions, but we're actually going to play a little bit of it. Here goes.
I should have said, why write this book now?
It was really important to me to, first off, honor my voice. I have to do it. How else can I expect my daughters to stand up for themselves?
She details an unstable upbringing, due in part to what she describes as her father's struggles with alcohol when she was young. According to the New York Times court
I'm
documents,
going to skip forward a little bit.
This caused me periods of torment and sorrow. How did his drinking shape your lives?
For me, it was created a lot of anxiety. The hardest part was like, could I trust you? Are you drinking? Are you not? It was something that no kid should have to question.
She also
Now I want to kind of just touch base about some of the things that she just said here. And I'm going to just stop sharing my screen for a quick moment. We'll go right back. There's a lot of ways you can kind of like look at her interview, especially this part right here where they're talking about her father, Jamie Spears's alcoholism. And I think that there's been a lot of hate flung at Jamie Lynn. And I think that hate's never justified, but I do think that it's her behavior over the years these are the consequences. People aren't a fan of hers, and the timing of this is horrible. She's releasing a memoir. She's doing a televised interview before Britney even to promote this book. So I find that to be just horrible timing and not a good look. And it's like this family is dealing with trauma, and they're obviously it's this relationship between each other are fractured. So I think that doing this book and this memoir is just only adding fuel to the fire. And so that I can't really defend Jamie Lynn on, but I do think just generally speaking, I never want to see any, not anyone, but most people I don't want to see have hate, flung towards them. And she's getting an overwhelming amount of it. And so I know that it's a bit of an unpopular opinion. I'm not defending her. I think, like I said, I think she's done a lot of wrong. I think she should have spoken up, and I'm going to play some clips in a little bit where she kind of tries to explain her reasoning and how she attempted to try to help Britney. And it does feel a little bit like, you didn't try that hard. But I think that when it comes to her father's alcoholism and all that, it's like she's also, I don't know if victim's the right word, but she was a child when this was all going down, and she was kind of spun around into this world of superstardom, and so I can imagine that she's dealing with her own trauma. And in this interview, she mentions getting therapy, and I'm a big fan of therapy. I personally seek therapy just because I think it's important, and I think there's a stigma around it, and I'm not a big fan of that. So let's continue on. I'm curious to hear what you think. Again, if you completely agree or disagree with me, just drop a line in the comments. If you're watching this after the fact, I'd also love to hear from you. I'm going to be responding to 100% of the comments. I do think that it's a discussion worth having. All right, moving right back to this tab. Let's continue a little bit of this interview.
describes a close bond she shared with her sister, who was 10 years older.
I felt like she was another mama.
Jamie Lynn says as the years passed, she noticed Britney's behavior begin to change.
Words that you've used in the book to describe her behavior over your lifetime was erratic, paranoid, spiraling. How do you see your sister's state of mind currently?
I can't really speak to anyone else's state of mind. I don't think that's fair. But
Okay, so that part to me is very interesting as well, because it's like she's going to use the word spiraling and erratic and all that in her book, because that does generate headlines, and then doesn't want to comment on it. So I find that to be troubling. And it's also troubling to even just, go into the territory of commenting on someone's mental health, let alone like your sister's. So don't love that.
I'm allowed to say how I felt in those, because it matters. It matters that I was in pain.
One thing also, I think, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting this interview, but I think that when she says that her voice matters, I do think there's some truth to that. Her sister is internationally extremely famous, and that just being in her own shoes, I would imagine would be difficult to be constantly eclipsed. Your career will never outshine hers, and you're going to be constantly compared to Britney. And I do think that she's struggling, and so she's gotten to this place, maybe through therapy, of like being like, I need to express myself. Now, I agree with that. However, I think through the vehicle of selling a book, the best way to go about it, because it comes off very opportunistic, and it's like I said, it's bad timing. So what I think she could have done is either done this memoir, if she wanted to do it so badly, just release it for free. But because there's a price on it, and even just releasing this in general, I think like it's just not a good time. There's like a time for everything, and I think right now while Britney's still expressing all of her, trauma and just opening up on Instagram and all that, I think it was just bad timing in general. There's going to be one more part I'm going to skip to that I think is worth mentioning. I think actually we might have covered what I wanted to. I want to talk about this part here.
Conservatorship. Last June, before it was dissolved, Britney testified in court calling it abusive, saying, "I would honestly like to sue my family, and my family has lived off my conservatorship for 13 years."
What was your reaction when the conservatorship was dissolved?
I was happy. First off, I don't understand. When it was put into place, I was 17-year-old. I was about to have a baby, so I didn't understand what was happening, nor was I focused on that. I was focused on the fact that I was a 17-year-old about to have a baby. I understand just as little about it then as I do now.
You talk.
Okay, so that's going to be the last, I think, little bit of this that we're going to talk about, but just not a good look to... I don't know why she would say that she doesn't understand as much about it now as she did then when she was 17 years old, and now she's, 30? And she's had ample amount of time to become educated. She knows that it's abusive. Her sister said it herself. So I just found that to be just not a good look. And it's like anyone who's been following Britney has been following this for that amount of time, and we all have been dealing with our own things. I was 19 when this all first went down, and I spoke out about it. Granted, it wasn't coming from a place as a family member, but it was coming from a place of an impassioned person who did follow Britney's career and everything, and could tell that immediately that this wasn't right. How could someone who's so capable be locked into something so restraining, and the fact that Britney tried to get out of it, and there was just so many signs along the way, even though for many, many years I would question myself personally to be like, should I be speaking out about this? Am I hurting Britney by speaking out about this? There was just no confirmation. It was just constantly having to go off of a gut feeling. So I can't buy, I just having a hard time buying what she's selling here. I fear for her book sales. I'm not trying to be shady, but it's what's the goal here? Who's the audience right now? It's just unclear to me. So I'm gonna just take a quick look at some of these comments right now, because a lot of people are chiming in. I really appreciate you doing that. Please continue to do so. Comments are they give me life. You extend my life by commenting. This instant gratification. Let's see. But she said, "I'm not in a position to comment on anyone's mental state," but she literally described her sister's mental state in 2007. Yeah, there's a lot of ironies with Jamie Lynn's interview. The Fifth Beatle 7 says, "That statement is insane. Any reasonable person would grow up and inquire about a sibling's conservatorship." What? 100% agreed. Ryan says, "This was marketed as more of an expose than it actually was. Seems she's just using the controversy to cash in as much as she can." I do agree that this, is a move to sell more. I mean, obviously. So I'm seeing some comments that the audio was lost. I'm hoping that y'all can hear me. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you can hear me, and hopefully I'm not talking into space. I'm gonna just assume we're all good to go and continue on. I'm gonna next bring up this post that Felicia Colada, she liked something shady about Jamie Lynn, and then I promise we'll be done with Jamie Lynn. I just felt like this was interesting, because anytime there's any sort of movement in the Britney ecosystem with other people that's not Britney, I find it to be just really interesting, because we get a really limited glimpse at all of that. So that surprise witness posted, "Reminder that Jamie Lynn tried to steal Britney's intellectual property and call her book, quote, 'I must confess.' Can she do anything on her own without dragging Britney into it? LOL, no." And so Felicia liked that. And then she also liked this Lou Taylor, which is an interesting picture. So not much more to add there, but that was definitely something. And this picture is also it's something. Oh, one thing that reminds me that also rubbed me the wrong way with Jamie Lynn's interview is that apparently, from what we gather, the interview was done in Lou Taylor's new LA home, which I know at the beginning of this stream, I'm trying to give Jamie Lynn a little bit of like some grace here, like because she's dealt with her own trauma and all that. And she mentioned something in her interview too that I thought was a little profound, which she said that we were doing the same thing in 2007 that we're doing today. We didn't learn our lesson because it's just happening in Instagram comments. And she probably did this interview prior to Britney turning off her own comments. And I do think that on Heavy's Instagram, there's a post that I did yesterday, another one today. There's literally thousands of comments about Jamie Lynn on Breathe Heavy's Instagram, excluding Twitter and Facebook and Breathe Heavy itself. It's just like a lot of like negativity. So I'm not sure what my thoughts are on that, but like I just try to personally be more of a positive person. But when I saw that she may have done this interview at Lou Taylor's house, I was like, oh, that's just really not good. So that's just sad if that's really the case. All right, moving right along. This one is very interesting as well. This piece of news popped up today, and I think this would be obviously incredible. It gives me the jitters for Britney, because that's just very like a high stakes scenario, and everyone is going to tune into it, whether you're a Britney fan or not, just because it's like when Britney gave her testimony, it was like the whole world was listening to that. If you weren't even a fan of Britney, like that was international news. It was on all over the networks. It was like the first time hearing her voice. And so to actually hear her voice in a situation like this, potentially, but also on video, and with Oprah, who's, obviously an icon, a legend. And, I don't know how soft and kind Oprah may be to Britney. I don't think she's going to try to hurt Britney, but she's going to go in. She's going to want to know the nitty gritty. I hope Britney would have some kind of like media training for this. Not that she's not a pro, but it's been a minute and this is like a high stakes situation. And yeah, I would just root for her to have some kind of like prep for that. So here is the video that seemingly confirms this rumor, and it stems from Sam Asghari, which is Britney's fiance, his like makeup artist / stylist. The person's name is Maxi. And Maxi's been right about things in the past that have happened. And we know that Maxi was able to get Britney and Sam free Britney shirts at one of the rallies. And as well as at one of the rallies I was there, we all signed. Actually, my dumbass forgot to sign it, so I'm an idiot. But there was like a giant canvas and you could sign it. And then it ended up apparently getting to Britney. And Maxi is the person who was able to kind of make that happen. So they did a live stream and they were feeling very open and honest and dropped this bit of news. So I'm going to play that for you.
Will Britney be doing Oprah? Well, between me and you, I'm not supposed to be talking about this or revealing any of this. But since I know, yep, homegirl going to be doing Oprah.
That laugh. So yeah, so obviously there's a bunch of comments and exhale about that. Everyone's like, oh my God. And yeah, I don't have anything much more to add to that other than that would just be definitely a moment of 2022. And I look forward to that happening. I know Britney has a lot on her mind, and I think she has a lot to say. I personally would be a big fan of her doing a book, because I think that an on-camera interview, she may not be able to get some of the things that she wants to say across in the way that I think maybe her writing things down can. That's why I'm a big fan of her Instagram captions, because it's like she's intentionally sitting down to like write these and share this. And so, however, love me a Britney interview. Sometimes if I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll just go down a rabbit hole and watch some of her old clips. And it's just been so long since we've had like Britney like doing something, professional, obviously, because of everything that's gone on. And I would like to think maybe an interview would be a step in the direction towards maybe kind of her feeling energized and excited about jumping back into any career. But at the same time, she's time and time again has said how kind of traumatic her career has been and just been very hurtful to her. But anything she does moving forward, I'd like to think that she's going to be around a team of people who like her well-being, her mental health is first and foremost. Mental health and physical fitness, all that, nutrition, sleep, like well-being, like all of that comes first, and then the career comes second. So I I root for her for that. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. If you think that Britney should do an Oprah interview, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. So drop me a line and let me know what you think. Would you tune in? I mean, who's going to say they're not going to tune in? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you just watching, you don't think it's a good idea. I'd love to hear what you think. All right, so another piece of breaking news. This happened today as well. Court docs were filed where a January 19 court hearing to address Britney's conservatorship regarding her estate was in the books. And as of today, I believe it's been taken off of the calendar. So here is the first page of that court document that was filed, and it was approved. So I would like to think that this is bad news, that nothing, scandalous is going on behind the scenes. Maybe there was an agreement met that, all parties agreed to, and the judge signed off on it, and we're good to go. A court hearing isn't warranted anymore. It's just difficult to kind of assume all of these things, because if you've been following the saga for all these years, it's like there's been so much that's gone on that's like, oh my God, how could that have even happened? But I'd like to think Britney's current attorney, Matt Rosengart, he's not trying to like pull one over and do any of that. He's proved himself. He got the conservatorship legally dissolved. Granted, there was a wave of momentum, but it needed a bunch of moving parts. It needed him. So I'm curious to know what you think. Do you think I'm just being naive? Maybe this is like a bad thing. I'm just not sure what to make of it, other than it could just be a procedural thing. But the court documents, I'll put the link to these in the description. Check it out and read through it and let me know what you think. All right, last but not least, I proceed with caution with this next one. Part of me is a little not even sure I should even bring this up, but I'll do it quickly. I won't make it a big thing, but I do think there was a lot of chatter about it on Breathe Heavy, on social media. And I think that this theme of like not talking about things and sweeping things under the rug that's been a recurring theme in the world of Britney. So if you feel like this is out of line, then either let me know now, but also I won't kind of share content like this in the future. But this did catch my attention, as it did a lot of other people's, and it's that Britney has like this large bruise on her arm, and so people are kind of speculating. Well, first of all, there's a couple things with this. One, it's like if people were like constantly watching me and constantly judging me, then like I get bruises and I get things, like people get bruises and stuff. So like I would hate to have people speculating about something like this about me. It's just there's like this whole tone of like Britney's life. It's like there's just such a lack of transparency, and so much like weirdness has gone down over the years that it's like that's why these things come up. So anyway, long story short, when one of Britney's videos dancing, there's like this crazy big bruise on her arm that you can notice. The video is posted on December 10th, and so her videos are pretty like she's moving quick. So I don't know how this was discovered, but once you see it, it's like you can't unsee it. And I went personally to go look at the video myself to be like, is this even real? And I saw it myself on this video as well. So there was just a lot of concern and a lot of chatter going back and forth on Exhale of like, should we even be talking about this? Did something weird go down? Like people are speculating like, physical abuse kind of a thing, which I think that's a huge allegation. And some people are like, look, the size of the bruise is like way too big for a hand. She could have like fallen down and just caught herself like this. Other people are saying like, you wouldn't get a bruise like that. I'm not really sure what to think. But just we've got to protect Britney at all costs, but not be overprotective, not to use like a pun. There's this weird fine line with all this, and I feel a little gross kind of doing that kind of story. I think in the future, I'm just going to hold off on that. But let me know what you think. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that. And are people making a big deal out of this, or is there actually something kind of worth taking a closer look at? So, my friends, that's it for this episode of Breathe Heavy Video Live. I really appreciate you watching and tuning in. If you're down for more of these live streams, I know I sound like a broken record, but drop me a comment. It's like my favorite thing. And also, I'd like to know how to kind of move forward. So far, I've been doing like 2 a week or so. Maybe I'll start doing 3. I really enjoy doing these. I feel like I kind of finally found my thing maybe on YouTube. And also, the numbers don't lie. There's been a lot more subscribers. The views have gone way, way up. Just engagement in general has gone up. So I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me. You know, Excel is a challenge for me, but in many ways, the community is banded together to keep it going. And in some ways, I'm like, do you guys even need me? So it's fun for me to sink my teeth into something else in addition to Breathe Heavy. And also I work full-time in marketing and sales for this company called Envision Community. That's the software company that creates the software that Breathe Heavy actually uses, along with a bunch of other brands and whatnot. So just a little side note. So thank you for sticking around. I love you guys so much. I'm going to try to do this outro smoothly this time. I know I messed up the intro. Forgive me. But I just got nothing but love for you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. All right, I'm out.